Welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. I would like to welcome back an amazing guest, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Francis Castillo. Welcome to the show, bro. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, Dio. I'm be honest with you. I'm so ecstatic because you actually said my name correctly too. So thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for
you
saying
got an
my name.
amazing name. You got an amazing name. Doing amazing things, creating an amazing legacy.
Man, thank you for having me back on first and foremost. So I thank you so much for all the compliments and thank you for having me back on. I'm like a kid in a candy store, Dio. I'm not gonna lie. This is a long time
Uh,
coming, but we're back, people.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. I love having you on. It's even when we're not talking on the podcast, we're always DMing. You're a sunshine of hope. Like we have these deep conversations. It's always good energy, and I love that.
Touche, touche. And it's always organic. And I think I told you this the first time. One thing I love about you, even when I was doing the podcast tour for the book, um, one thing about your podcast, I don't know. I just feel like I could be myself. It's organic. It's organic. It's no pressure. It's like a great conversation. So, so like I said, I feel so comfortable around you. It's crazy. Never met you in person, as
Yeah,
far as social media wise and online and being on the show. I feel like I know. I feel like I've known you for a long time. It's crazy, but it's so good to be back and be back on
thank you. I
the
appreciate
platform.
it. 'Cause it's and that's what makes this, and that's what I want, right? It's more. Although I've had many entrepreneurs talk about their story and their business. It's the organic conversation to be able to talk about it, right? To be real, so that the listeners and viewers can gravitate to that, right?
Touche. You're correct.
So what's up, man? What's new? What's new? What's you got? I know you got a lot of things. You're working on a lot of things. This is gonna be a to be continued podcast because what you have in store, it's amazing.
Man, we're gonna cover a plethora of topics today, man. But I mean, what's not new? It's like I'm always constantly having something going on. This is the fourth quarter of the business quarter and the fourth quarter of the end of the year. So I'm just trying to finish off strong, man. I say that because I went to Belize. I was in Belize last week. A
Nice,
lot of y'all don't know where that's at. Geographically, it's right below Mexico, right above South America. Um,
nice.
and it was almost like, and you can contest to this as well. When you go back home, you just come back charged up.
Yes, yes.
Um, so I'm trying to come back and finish the year off strong, man. Whether that's with the companies, whether that's writing the second book, and just enjoying these holidays about to come up. So I'm just looking forward to the end of the year, finishing
I
strong.
feel that. I feel that 100%. I went back home in July, and I unfortunately I went back to bury my grandmother, uh, which is an unfortunate a thing to go back home to, right? But you know, I, but like you said, I came back recharged to get shit done.
Touche, and I'm glad you brought that up. So I think I told you when because I kind of like I said we stay in communication. I remember when she was sick, and I remember you telling me that she wasn't doing too well, and I definitely sent a prayer for her, and I know she
Thank
was
you,
monumental in your life, man, and like I said, sorry for you and your family's loss, man, and
thank you.
I know she's super proud of you. Touche, touche. Now, did she call you? Did she have a nickname for you like my grandmother does, or
No,
did she?
no,
So
no.
she call you Dio Mark or Dio or
Diomal in Spanish,
Diamant?
Diomal.
All right, Diamant, Diamant. I love
Yeah,
it.
I wasn't really, I wasn't really into big nicknames because from a young age, like I love my name. I love my name. Like the only thing my parents did was give me my name, and I had to build it. So, I mean, growing up in the streets because I grew up in the streets, they I had another name, but that's not what we're gonna discuss here. So I was
It's okay.
but life. Listen, right? To live a life thinking or even believing you're wise. And truth be told, you're nothing but a fool, right? So you live and you learn, and you'll have a better life.
Touche, touche. I tell this to people all the time. Knowledge is nothing unless it's applied. So when you
Facts.
apply knowledge, that's when the wisdom kicks in. But it takes a while to get to that point of wisdom.
Hmm.
So you have to apply the wisdom, man. But you got to go through some hurdles, ups and downs, peaks and valleys. And I'm gonna read you this right quick because you had me thinking about it because I posted this on my life coaching page.
Nice.
Just pertaining to you know, your life, your past life, I should say, or a section of your life. So this is real short. It's by J. Cole, the artist, y'all. So if
Yeah,
y'all don't know J, of course y'all should know J. Cole. J. Cole,
I
North
love it.
Carolina. Every saint got a past. Every sinner got a future. Every loser got a win, and every winner gotta lose someday.
Boom. Yeah, I love that. That's facts. That's real.
Touche.
That's real. That's real. I I was thinking last night, right? I've been going through I don't want to say ups and downs, but I've been going through some things I've been struggling, right? And like, last night, because as we discussed earlier, like my son, today was his first day of school, right? And as you know, he's autistic, and who everybody here have heard the podcast has know my struggle with my son, right? Seeking help wise, right? So I'm here thinking like, you know, in this life we live in, right? And this time, this era, decade, or whatever you want to call it, right? We see success as being financial stable, right? Like it's wealth. If we define success as you having money, right? And I think some people may not understand that in order for that to happen, something has to be sacrificed, right? Somebody has to sacrifice for you. You have
Yes.
to sacrifice somebody,
Mm,
or you have to be willing to sacrifice something, right? Like
mm.
what's made it so tedious and difficult for me, right? This past 2 years that right in January 4th, 23, second year on the podcast, right? Is that I don't want to sacrifice anything. That's why it's taken me so long to do a lot of things, or maybe not reach that peaking point people think I am, right?
Yeah.
And yet I've spent these 2 years, ever since I started my brand and whatnot, working for myself. It's been 2 years. I've built and created these amazing memories with my son, which is something I've always wanted, right? And last night, just in my thoughts, pondering, right? Because like I said, today he's going to school for the first time. That's really heavy on me, and I'm like, damn. Although I've created and built beautiful moments, I never could have capitalized on them like I wanted to, because when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting your own business, you're worried on how to keep the lights on, you know, house rent, responsibilities, right? And they were a lot of nights like that. And I come to terms that, like, if you're gonna sacrifice something, if somebody's uh gonna sacrifice themselves for you, it needs to be worth it, because time is not forgiving.
Touche. Touche. You almost make me want to cry, man. And I say that because I'm serious. I've been dealing with a lot these last 3 months. We'll dive into that as well. I'll bring that up. But one thing that you said that's so key is that for me, I've had to realize that um earlier this year, as far as like money. And I say that because like money to me, we come from a country, or we come from a place where of course they look at us like we're in America, we have the land of opportunity, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been infatuated with money to the point where it drives me to an unbelievable drive. So the things I've accomplished in life, I just because I'm just that talented, right? But I had this something went off in my head earlier this year. I had to put this switch in my head, like I have to become obsessed with something I don't love. Now I don't get it twisted. I like money.
Mm-hmm.
I like money, but I'm not obsessed with it because for me, I'm a man of simplicity. I like the simple things in life. I went back home and I saw this beautiful sunrise. I enjoyed a cool breeze, the little things in life I enjoy. So I had to tell myself, like, okay, now you have to become obsessed with something that you don't necessarily love. And I say that because we put value to a piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I told this to my business partner a long time ago. I'm like, man, I hate this. I hate the fact that we have to trade our time for this piece of paper. Because if we don't give money value, then there's nothing. But we in the world, everyone has their own currency. We give this piece of paper value.
Yep.
It drives us. And I told him this. I said, well, unfortunately, it's to the point where it gives us a purpose. So we have to go get this money.
Yeah.
And I just feel sorry for you as well because I know the bond that you've created with your son. Our sons are around almost the same age. Um, I've had my struggles with my son as far as he had ear surgery a few months ago.
Wow.
He's doing a lot better.
I meant
But
to.
that bond you've created, man, it's hard to detach from it. But now it's like now you have to tell yourself, I got to go back and get this money because you have to provide, for yourself and your family. So,
What you were saying, it's factual because you need to provide for your family, and if you're a small business owner or just becoming an entrepreneur, you need something to feed the beast, and like when you first become an entrepreneur, those first years, it's a lot. You don't know what to do, and it's a lot of figuring it out. And money's gonna is gonna flow away from you. So you need something until it's established. You need to keep feeding the business. I tell people all the time, you keep your 9 to 5, and when you come out of your 9 to 5, your personal business that should be your part-time, and you keep working that part-time until it becomes your full-time, and your full-time becomes the part-time. Next thing you know, you're running your business full smooth, and you don't have to work with nobody else. It takes time, dedication, consistency to build that.
touche. And it's one of the hardest, most gratifying things in the world that you can do. And I tell this to any entrepreneur or anybody that whether it's music, whether it's artwork, or whether it's entrepreneurship, it's one of the hardest, most gratifying things in the world because you got to realize God gives you the vision, or the
Mm-hmm.
creator. Some people don't believe in God, some people believe in something else. But a lot of people, I sometimes like to say the creator. So the creator gives you the vision, and then people don't understand how hard it is. You get the vision, and then you have to go try your best to apply the vision. And then it's kind of like you don't know what you're doing. So you have to like you said, navigate through this entrepreneurial world because people don't understand. When you have a 9 to 5, that's guaranteed 40 hours. That's guaranteed money. When you're an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fear of the unknown. You have to create the hustle and create the ways of the avenue of getting the money. So it's super hard. I commend any entrepreneur out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's stability. That's what that 9 to 5 gives you. That's what where you get paid, where you win through that 9 to 5 is your choice to see how you're going to apply it. And that's ultimately and where that's going to help you to succeed or fail or continue or not continue. But you need that. So
Agree. And the sad part about I see a lot of people that have a 9 to 5 and they're really miserable. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know a lot of people that are miserable because they've they've been sold this dream where you go to school, get a good job, and get a good career. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're realistically, if you go to school for 12 years and then you go to school for not 12, let's give or take about give or take about 10 years, whatever the number is, and then you go to school, you go to college, right? And then you got your student loan debt. Then you actually once you get the career that you think that you love, but when you get into it, you kind of like but I got to get this money because I have the student loan debt. Then you get a nice car, a home, you start having kids in the family. By the time you turn around with that student loan debt and all that, the career and everything, you're in the hole for about $250,000, give or take.
Yeah.
But then you're stuck because you've accumulated all this debt. Um, but when you're an entrepreneur, it's kind of like you have to create something from scratch. So when you enter in a system where go to school, get the career, it's like it's something that's already set in stone. But when you're an entrepreneur, it's different, man. It's really different. You have to network and work hard for yours, and you're creating generational wealth. So you're creating something that you're hoping or that you will think that will last longer when you're gone for your child or for yourself or for your family. So, um, yeah, I got two companies, man, and my time is very precious. But I know at the end of the day, I'm creating something that will be there for my child. He doesn't have to go work for somebody.
Yeah. I yeah, I was talking to this gentleman, King Nito. I think it's episode 95, right? And I was telling him like everyone right now is in real estate. That's the big thing, right? Real estate. And I'm like, and I'm doing my own research because my wife and I are in real estate one now. I'm like, right now everything's high. And like at least over here, right? So because everything's high and everything's inflated, um, people are selling their houses for a lot of money and it's not worth it sometimes. And then the loan the banks give is not enough due to inflation, right? So I'm like, I don't want to buy a house. Right here in my head, right? Talking to my wife, because we tend to have those conversations, give ideas, right? Constructive, positive, progressive conversation. And I'm like, if a bank is giving me, let's say 250,000, right? 250, 800, right? And if I go buy a home, I'm like, let's say it's a 3-family home, right? What, 1,500, and that's because that's going to be consistency. That's all what I'm always going to make, right? Rather take that money and go buy, let's say, a established French franchise, a business that's already established in making money already. All you have to do is come and manage it. And like they say, if you buy Burger King, McDonald's, or these already established franchise, they get paid. I think it's the way they get paid is it's percentage or margins, depending what that month's you make. That's how they get paid. That's how they pay the if they rent the land or whatever, right? I'm like, I'd rather go invest in that because that's gonna be always giving me money. That's already established. And I'm not gonna be stuck with a certain amount of money every month. If I go buy a house and the most I can rent it, depending where you are in the country, the most I can rent is for 1,000, and it's a 3-family house. That's 3,000. But over here, it fluctuates. I can make 3,000 in a day. By the end of the week, I quadruple that. And if I take that money, I'll get myself another franchise. And then with that money, I'll buy myself a third one. And with that money, then I'll buy myself a house and properties. I mean, but it's just it's just me spitballing.
Nah, it makes sense. People don't realize right now the housing market is over leveraged, and it's created this bubble that's gonna bust.
Yep.
Because it reminds me of 2008. I didn't know much about it in 2008 because I was too young in the sense of like not wise enough. But that's one of the reasons that caused one of the recessions. Well, the recession, one of the recessions, was because the housing market was giving out too many loans and it was over leveraged. The banks, I mean, and it's kind of the same thing right now. These houses are going for astronomical prices. And they're not worth. Let's say a house is worth realistically 250,000, right? It's selling for overvalued for 320,000, 300,000. Like, so, if you're selling your house, you're making the money. But the problem is, henceforth, buying another house because now you sold your house, and now you're stuck because you don't. Now you got to go buy a astronomical price, a new house for another astronomical price. But a lot of people, if you're wise, you're going to wait for that bubble to bust, and then you buy a house or you buy a rental property. So I think it's going to happen pretty soon. I don't know when. Technically, we're not in a recession, but we are, because they consider a recession when the GDP, the gross domestic profit, is down 2 quarters in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They consider that that's when it's a recession. I think we've already had with inflation, we've already had 1 quarter where it's been like, all right, these numbers is bad. Where because you got the cost of milk is high, cost of gas was high, but everything is high. So we're already in a bad situation. I
See,
mean, but
in that case, just going back to like just reflecting on what happened in 2008, right? Because you can't change the past, but you can most definitely learn from it, right? And what I see is the people that are going to suffer the most is the renters, because what happened in 2008, the owners are the ones who won, because I rent you this apartment, right? And what happened in 2008 is that the owners weren't paying the bank. They were pocketing that money. This is why a lot of people say cash rules, because when you're profitable through cash, you're not able to. It's you're not. Excuse me. You're not able to track that. That's why you hear a lot of people. Yeah, I want to start a cash business, strictly cash, because the government doesn't have proof of where you come in, where you're making here, where you're making here, and everything becomes a loss. You can market it as a loss, how to make money. You feel me?
true.
Um, and that's what I see. A lot of the renters, people who don't own their things, are the ones like right now Toyota. Uh, Word on the street is that, and where they make them, I think in Japan, Tokyo, one of these, they're not making them. It's shutting down.
Wow.
So like, there's a shortage of vehicles, and you got to remember, like there was a when the pandemic hit, it was like a whole quarter or 2 quarters where the world was shut down and nothing was being manufactured. So that gap is gonna affect, and where either they manufacture too quickly and the product is not wasn't created good, and it comes is going to come with a major defect, or one, they didn't do any type of production, which is going to affect us now in the long run.
You're right. I wasn't even thinking about that, but you're right. Yeah, and a lot of the problems I remember when it was happening right after the pandemic was the little chips that's in the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was a chip shortage.
Yeah.
So I got a cousin who because we just dropping gems on these people today. I got a cousin who's a doctor in Taiwan,
Wow.
and Taiwan, believe it or not, is one of the if not the largest. It's number I think it's number one in the world creating those chips, whether it's in your iPhone or cars. So yeah, Taiwan was having an issue, I guess, producing all like they back ordered all these chips and stuff for these cars. So yeah, and then going back to the situation you said too about the renters, I have a cousin who lives in New York, and I think a lot of the renters were dealing with this problem where because it was the pandemic, they couldn't charge the renters, the people that were renting, I'm sorry, that were renting from them couldn't pay the rent. They weren't making any money. So my cousin was like, yeah, I can't kick these people out because by law they're saying you have to keep the people in there. Like you can't kick them out. You
Mm-hmm.
can't collect rent, so therefore you losing money, and you guys still got to pay the bank.
Right.
So yeah, man, it's rough and it's still rough for a lot of people.
Yeah. Right now, at New York, in New York, everyone that was fired for not getting the vaccine, right now they have to get rehired, and they have to pay them backtrack for all
Ooh.
those months that they didn't work. There's some people that are getting picked up to $40,000,
Mm.
right? Because it was what was the proper word? Unconstitutional to do that to them.
Came back and bit him in the butt.
Boom.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's and this is the thing, right? in a business, an established business, you're not going to have that problem if you think about it. And if you do, you shut it down, because if you shut it down, it'll stay there. If you know how to manage your money, you'll have enough amount of money that you're not going to struggle. You rather shut it down, shut down production, so you don't lose money. Because the more you continue to push forward on it, and even though the pandemic, all these small businesses were that with food, fast food, all that, they made money because nobody was coming out the house.
Facts. Zoom, I'm investing in the stock market, not heavy. I used to be so heavy in the stock market. I've been falling off a little bit, but I mean every paycheck I used to put money in the market, right? But anyway, for a long period of time, because of the pandemic, Zoom shot up, their stock shot up out the roof.
I wish
Because
I would have invested in Zoom, honestly.
but we didn't know. Hindsight, we didn't know because let me look at the price. But during the pandemic, everything went virtual. Like they made so much money. Zoom and Netflix is the one that benefited a lot from the pandemic because everyone was doing virtual and everyone was staying home watching Netflix.
Correct.
So let me look at the price.
That's what I use, Zoom. That's how everybody use Zoom. Everybody wants to do all these miscellaneous programs, and not to knock them, but like comparing prices, Zoom is more straightforward and more affordable than a lot of these.
Ooh.
How much?
So let me give you a rough estimate. This is like we're dropping gems on people today. We're gonna push this episode because we're talking about a whole variety of things, but we're talking about residual income, talking about real estate companies, and we stock.
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship. We're dropping gems. So currently, right now, Zoom is $87 a share. Last year, around this time, Zoom was $263 a share. When Zoom first started and went public, Zoom went public in 2019, and they were $62 a share. So realistically, if you would have came in and when it was $62 a share, and it went up to $263 per share, you made a lot of money. Let me look up Netflix as well. I know Netflix ate a lot.
Yes.
So Netflix is currently $310 a share. The stock market is kind of going down right now anyway, FYI. But let me see what it was a year ago. A year ago, God, oh, Jesus Christ. A year ago, it was $679 a share.
Wow.
So here's the kicker. That's why we tell people to invest in companies when you first hearing about the companies, do your research and due diligence and invest in them early. Just guess when Zoom went public, how much it costs to just invest in Zoom. Let's just say you know anything about Zoom, but let's just say a friend told you to invest in, not Zoom, but Netflix. Guess how much it costs to invest in Netflix when it first went public in 2004? Just guess.
How much?
It was $1.20. So granted, you don't know what these companies are going to be, but you got to take the time to do your research. But at the end of the day, in 2004, it went public. So and I'm gonna give y'all gems. When a company goes public, all they're trying to do is build money to raise more money for their company, raise more capital. So at the end of the day, they're giving people like me, you, everyone in the world the opportunity to buy into their company. So technically, you're owners of the company because they're building equity. They're trying to build more capital for their company. So let's just say you bought it in Netflix and it was $120. I mean, I'm sorry, $1.20 in 2004. It went all the way up to $679. So think about it, if you would have bought like 10 shares, 100 shares of that, you would be really good right now.
You know what happened with GameStop? Nobody would have thought GameStop. But anyway, talk to me on let's talk about. So what happened? What happened to the locker room? What you had this podcast going? You also got blocked on Instagram.
Yeah. You've done your research, G. I got to give it to you.
I'm telling you, these social medias be shady. Be shady.
The locker room is on pause right now. It was a platform created with some guys that kind of came to me and they saw what I was doing. And they're good friends of mine. And there's nothing bad blood. It's just I've gotten too busy. I got to focus on what makes me money. So it's kind of like locker room was on pause, but I like the essence and the core of what the locker room was. It was kind of a platform created for guys to vent because as men, we have a lot on our shoulders, pun intended. Um, and it was a place for men to vent and talk about issues. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna go on this long soliloquy or rant. So one of the guys in the locker room, his name is JB, and JB said this to me, and it's so deep and so profound. He said, sometimes men are not appreciated, whether you're a husband, boyfriend, fiance, whatever. He said sometimes men come home and they just feel tolerated. That's deep. But it is true for some men. Some men we don't feel appreciated.
Yeah.
Because we have to carry, pun intended, remember Atlas, he carries the world.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, we have to carry the world on our shoulders. So I did like the platform. I think eventually we'll get fired back up. But right now I'm just kind of focusing on my company, Q Jackson Apparel. And then I'm writing my second book, which is leveled up. I'm sorry. And then I have another company, a marketing company. So it's kind of like, I got to put that on the back burner. But then answering your second question, I have a life coaching page. I'm a certified life coach. And I got banned on Instagram. I'm not going to say why I got banned but let's just say the vid, is one of the reasons. I think I was talking about that. And they shut your boy down.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a guest talk about that. And I think, how they was pushing that agenda. And I wasn't talking against it, but I was kind of questioning it.
Listen, man. I'm gonna say this. I got blocked on YouTube.
Oh my God.
I got shadow banned on Instagram. My followers went down immensely. I was about to hit like 1,050 at least. Well, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I hate it. But let's switch gears too. I do want to before I lose my train of thought. I want to definitely touch upon this as well. Because we're covering a lot of things, and we're gonna push this episode. Because if you haven't, click, comment, like, and subscribe to DIOTALK.
Go follow me at Mr. Dreamers Power Obtain.
Yes. Y'all better stop playing. Because we're gonna push this heavy. We want to get this message out. So I'm gonna switch gears, y'all. It's been on my heart and it's been on my mind. Thank you for allowing me to be on this platform. I'm gonna say this because you never know what you mean to people. I'm lying. The people come back to you and tell you they appreciate you, right? God gives you a gift. I'm gonna reel this in right quick. God gives you a gift, and then sometimes you don't get kudos from that gift because a lot of people don't tell you you're doing good at what you're doing. So your job in this world is to find your gift and to multiply it times 10, right? So anyway, long story short, I had a cousin come to me last week and told me he's been diagnosed with he's bipolar. And I felt so honored and humble for the fact that he came to me about that. I say all that to say that I'm going to dive into mental health right quick. Anyway, he confided in me and told me he diagnosed with bipolar. And he said the reason why he was encouraged to go talk to someone is because I talked about going to see a therapist on my life coaching page. Mm. So I was, one, honored and humbled that he confided in me about his being bipolar. And then two, I was honored and humbled that actually I felt like I was making an impact and making a difference. So just in switching gears, if anyone out there who's watching this podcast, who's subscribed to this podcast and is going through anything and you can't feel like you can battle it and deal with it yourself, please go seek a therapist, psychiatrist, or whoever you need to talk to go vent and get that off your chest, because mental health is real, y'all. Mm-hmm. Mental health is real. So dive in that, Dio.
Yeah, shit. That's real. That is where do I begin with that, right? See, this is like, and going back to the locker room, this is something. There's something I'm producing that's similar like that. You guys are doing. I'm producing it on a down low because I've noticed every time I try to do something and I say it, it just falls flame. So I'm producing something like that from uh, from my media company, Junior Spy Obtain. Right? Excuse me. Here's the thing with that, and I'm gonna say man's perspective, right? Like it's men thing, right? Um, we've been throughout the years, we've been ostracized for certain decisions that we have made, and just being a man in humanity. We don't have the best track record of it, but we have hope, and with hope, we become better men, better people, better person, better brother, father, friend, right? Better man. And on a daily basis, we as men do not support one another. We're not there one another. Uh, we hear another man talking about what they're going through, and we don't say, "Hey, I'm here for you." We don't say, you need to talk?" Um, or try to empower him in a way that, "Hey, you got this. Everything's gonna be okay." We don't do that, and so before we start preaching, we must first come. We have to go to ourselves, self accountability. Ask yourself: am I that type of person? And where your cousin took the courage and spoke to you, and you were able to give him the advice, the manly advice that he took to go help himself. That's the first thing. That's the first thing. Everything it's gangster. Everything it's macho man, and that's not a real man. And especially if you have a father, right? If you are a father, you need to understand that you're being viewed as an example, and everything you walk, every step you take, every move you make. I sound like a song now.
The,
They'll be watching you,
you
right?
don't ever lie, which is true though.
So like some days I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, and I can admit I'm not the perfect example nor a human being. I'm human, and it comes to when I look back, I see that little guy looking at me. I'm like, damn, damn it. You know, it's all me, and I have to do the diligence of getting down to that little man's level and be like, hey, that is not right. That tantrum he did or he yelled, that wasn't right. I'm sorry. Please, please don't take that example. I'm wrong. Be better than me. You know, and that's one step where we have to start building men rather boys. We have not done a great job in that. We have given, because we want to have a fun night. There's consequences to that, and then there's plenty of mothers, uh, raising their children alone, and then there's kids making grown up decisions that are now raising kids. Kids raising kids. That's affected our culture immensely, immensely. We as men haven't got grown enough, and we are now with gray hair, and life just tells us we're wise. We don't have to say it. We don't have to say it because life is telling you we're wise men. We need that, right? We live in a culture and we're segregated. Everything is black. Everything is LGBT. Everything is Latinx. Everything. No, men need men. We need to take accountability in order for this our next future, the next round of generations to come. We need to build values. We need everything is so emotional. That's why there's so much obesity. That's why you know there's like so many things that keeps us unbalanced, And I'm not saying we should ignore our emotions, but we shouldn't also let it control us. You get what I'm saying?
Agreed.
And being that said, then we were able to, once we are able to hold ourselves accountable, look ourselves in the mirror, because when we're fighting in reality, it's ourselves, not the other person. Because I realized if you let somebody control your emotions, that you never had control over yourself,
Right.
right?
Right.
And like I said in the beginning of this interview, right? Like of this episode of this organic conversation, like me growing up, I was a fucking problem, and I know I have to constantly redirect myself because I don't care how big or small I can be a problem, but that's not who I am. That's not who I want to become. Right? It's the constant reminder we got that I got that little boy watching me, and one day he doesn't talk now, but one day he's gonna speak.
Yes.
And one day he's gonna be able to tell you everything he has felt growing up, and you're gonna be a grown person, right? And you're gonna feel like shit because he's gonna finally have a voice and tell you, listen, growing up, this is this I didn't like, this and this is I like, this is what I like, and you're gonna if you're a good parent, you're gonna break down, or you're gonna be one of those parents that are gonna ignore everything and just brush it off. When that time comes, you gotta hold yourself accountable. You're like, I'm sorry. You gotta acknowledge his feelings. You gotta acknowledge him as a kid, whether it's a girl or boy, because this shit in life is there's consequences. There's the most difficult thing in life. It's giving a shit because you can walk through life not caring about anything. But when you care, that's hard because you have to care,
That is true.
especially when you got kids. Especially if you're trying to be an influencer, you're trying to be somebody with credibility, and that's just the start.
You're right. And I like to give people their flowers, while they're alive. And I say that because life is too short, too sweet. I think we
What is that saying? What is that saying? Uh, I just saw. I don't mean to cut you off, but like I just thought of this. I heard it right. Like it said, people have two lives, right? Start to live their second one when they realize they only have one life,
like that, which is true.
right?
That's true. That's true. You're right. I don't beat yourself out there, people. I say that because you really don't start to make a lot of money until you're in your 30s. A lot of people botch up a lot of
Experience.
money. Yeah, you started getting wisdom, right? Like we talked about earlier. Um, but I say all that to say that I think we're in the age where we realize that, like you said, our kids or our child looks up to us, and we have to be the biggest role model, right? I think the biggest superhero starts from within the home. So your son doesn't talk as much, but he's watching everything that you do. Sidebar: my brother didn't talk until he was 4 years old. My son, I'm very transparent. My son is in therapy right now. My wife was very afraid that he was going to be autistic, or he is autistic. He hasn't been tested, but he's eventually going to be tested. Um, but I feel he says a lot of words now. But at first, in the beginning, she was very fearful. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but anyway, long story short, um, you've created a legacy and a brand that your son is gonna be so proud. She's very proud of to be a part of, because your son could go back and look at these videos. 20 years down the road, you're still gonna be alive. 40 years down the road, you still be alive. Whatever, 60 years down the road, you may not be alive, right? But your son can say, "My dad has created something that I can go back and watch him and look at these conversations." And if he ever feels lost, he can say, "Look, let me go back and look at my dad's videos, just for kicks and giggles or just for wisdom." So I think your son's going to grow up to be a very great man.
Hope so. From your
And
mouth to God's ears.
touche, he's going to inspire a lot of people, man. I think God gives his hardest battles to his best warriors. So I commend you and your wife for going through a lot. I mean, it's a lot to deal with. Um, yeah.
Amen. Thank you. And to be truthful and honest, uh, for that particular reason, I created this.
Mm.
People ask me all the time, why did I do this? There's a lot of reason. There's a lot of reason why I did this, but that main one is for this. I keep telling people, you know, people think that I'm killing it. I'm making this savage money, and like I'm killing it because I'm episode of interview. It's like, nah, you know, I'm not. And as much as I would like to one day pay the house with this, right? It has to be the main purpose. And it's just like, before I started this, like I was very I'm a person who keeps to myself, and I force myself to go out there and meet people, right? And I received so many no's until somebody said yes, and I tell people all the time, this is like an ongoing documentary, right? Because throughout the first time I started to right now, I wasn't the same person. Every episode it's either, some episodes talk about whatever's topic, trending topic or not, but it's the deep conversation. That's why I want to make it organic. I want to talk about what you're trying to promote, but I also want to talk to you as a person. That's the most important thing because we lose ourselves, and that's the main problem of I think some generations, the younger generations, that they don't know how to be themselves. They don't know how to follow their own thing, rather follow other people that are not doing the right thing. Sometimes you could be a follower. The majority of the time, because it's your life, you need to be a leader. And not to say you're always going to be a leader, right? But then you need to be a leader enough to see who's the right person for you to follow.
It goes back to what you said. It's I like a lot of philosophical and a lot of motivational speakers and a lot of people say this all the time. Is you said it earlier too? Is really you versus you every day. It's you versus that person in the mirror every day. You're technically in control of your destiny, to a certain extent. I tell this to people all the time. You are who you are. You are who you're going to be, right? But I do believe in this too, though. I believe that God gives us two or three roads. I'm a firm believer in this. Now, I could be crazy, I could be wrong, but this is my belief. I think God gives us, like, let's say three roads, and each road is going to take you down a different path. Now, ultimately, I believe He's not going to let you stray so far. So each road may, take you through different obstacle courses, but He has a purpose for you, and He has a goal for you because you're designed and you're created for a reason. And along that journey, you have to find out what you're created for. Like you have to, what's your purpose? Um, Now, do we get lost and is it a rocky road? Hell yeah, it is.
It's supposed to. Listen, I don't like. I can't do jujitsu because I tore my ACL.
Shut the front door.
I shut the front door, right? But it was nothing more satisfying and beautiful when I'm rolling with a person, and I finish one sparring match, I go with another for an extended 15 minutes, and I come out exhausted.
Mm.
It's only when you reach the point of exhausted that you can see true meaning of life, true true purpose and what you do, because you're so exhausted you can't think, you can't you can't feel, because a lot of decisions we as people do is based off emotions. This is where it goes back to where you're saying three roles. Those three roles, we will never know which one is best for us as long as we continue to let emotion guide us. Now, don't get me wrong, you will need him to know what's right and wrong, but the majority of the time we use our emotions in a negative way, right? So when I'm finished rolling, I'm at this point of exhaustion, I see clarity. And with that clarity comes acceptance. And like, I don't I don't have everything I want, but I also can't live a life thinking I'm gonna have everything, or I have all the answers, or every time I'm gonna win, or I'm gonna lose, or it's life. You're not in control. But the best thing you can do is just you gotta live it. You gotta fucking live it. You gotta live it. You gotta enjoy it. You gotta create these moments and where that when you're old, you know that's that saying, remembering is living. It makes you smile,
It's true.
and that's what's gonna give us the energy, the life of like just not everything's so serious. Not every job is worth it. If you can like that's the thing. This generation has messed us up in a way that like they think everything is money and you have to have a big house, you have to have a Lamborghini, you have to have assets. No, you could be a cop, you could be an EMT. Shit, you could fucking work at McDonald's or Burger King for as long as your life is good and you're happy and you're satisfied. And don't get me wrong, sometimes satisfies that up. Like you're content with your life. Why do you want to be a millionaire and have all these fucking problems? It's an ego thing. You can have a good life. And sometimes you need to have the best life. All you need to is, your kid's good, your marriage good, you got money in the bank, you could go out and eat, you're good, you could buy two things, you're good. But the most thing you're able to create moments where your family live and laugh, and not taking it personally, just live, bro. You're good.
I think that's the biggest picture. Like, and a lot of people don't realize that. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I'm a man of simplicity. I come from nothing,
No, I
and
feel you.
I feel like those things that everything you just said makes so much sense. And I wish a lot of people would see it that way. Because all the other extra shit, cars in the driveway, the other stress, all that shit doesn't matter, man. Are you happy? Like you said, you could be flipping burgers, but are you fulfilling? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel happy? As long as you're happy, all the other extra shit don't matter. A lot of people get caught up with this. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I told you this earlier. I feel like I have to become obsessed with something that I hate, and that's money. Because you can't do anything without money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, at the end of the day, money doesn't rule the world. But because a lot of people have money, but they're not happy. I see a lot of people that's miserable that have a whole bunch of money because it's like you're letting it control you. Enjoy the simple things in life, man. The simple things. You're allowed to wake up and do this thing all over again. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. But a lot of people don't see it that way.
Play the money game and enjoy the fun while you're doing it, right? But also, like, here's the thing. This is like going back to that immigrant mentality, right? People come here from other countries and all they do is work their ass off. Let them complain. Don't they only tell you something as you disrespect them as they should. But they don't complain. They clean toilets. They do all types of shit. They don't complain. They're getting paid. They send money back to the country. They build their house and do that, do that, do that, do that. And when it's time to go, they go back and they got this fucking whole nice house, all this shit. And while they're working over here, they're enjoying life as the best they're enjoying. A lot of people want a Monday, Saturday, and Sunday off. No, if it's fucking Wednesday or Thursday, they'll find ways to enjoy it. They're content.
Right.
I mean, yeah, do they want more? Yeah, but they're not asking for much. Spend time with their family, going out and eat, make enjoyable moments, laugh, live, love.
That's what life's about. Those moments that you're talking about, that's what life's about. That's life in its essence. Those laughs, those memories you get to create. That's to me, that's one of the beautiful things. And you feel this way too. I say that because you can have the shittiest day. But when you see your child or when your child loves you unconditionally, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I could be having this shit. I could have bad consultations, bad meetings, no sales, or 10 sales, whatever sales I have for the day. It doesn't really matter. But as long as my child loves me unconditionally, that's all I need. I'm like a kid in the candy store.
Yeah, it's real love. Something you're not gonna get. Something you're not gonna get when you walk out your house. The front of your door. Like that's something like one of the things that when I first started working for myself, like it was so difficult for me to divide what's home and what's I will bring that energy and back to the household, and it was so difficult for me to divide that because I didn't know, and it wasn't worth it. So I went into work for myself, and all my frustrations, set myself a time, and I learned this was all about.
Right. It's gonna be well worth it. I feel like you're building an empire because you have so much going on, whether it's the merch. Y'all go buy the deal merchandise as well. You see the shirt, you see the hoodie, buy the hats, the shirts, everything merchandise. You got the podcast. So at the end of the day, it's going to be well worth it. I think your podcast is growing. I need to go back and watch a few episodes. But you have so much. You have a vast, so many amount of people on here that's like different. Like 1 minute you'll have an author, next minute you'll have another entrepreneur. You have a lot of great people on here. And if you have or haven't been on here, like I want people to push it because, like I tell people all the time, you support ignorance all the time. You ever watch something goofy or crazy on TikTok or Instagram, like support my boy's stuff, man.
I appreciate it.
Support this episode. Like
I
I feel like
appreciate
as
it.
an entrepreneur, the best thing we can get is support. Y'all support ignorance all the time. Y'all don't know Kanye. Y'all don't know these celebrities. You actually know Dio in real life, or you may know of him. May know of me in real life. Support us. 'Cause that's the best thing you can get as an entrepreneur is support. Which we do have a lot of support, but I'm talking about the ones that don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's out there, right? It's rather me find you, you come find me. That's one thing I try not to do anymore. I want to talk. I want to have these meaningful, life-changing conversation. I don't want to push my things on top of people that they say you don't want it. That's fine. But it's there when you need it, and eventually you're gonna need it because we all need it sometimes.
Man, you have so many different guests on here. I feel like there's not one episode that you haven't covered. Like you've covered so many different people, actors, so many talented different people. Like you can. How many episodes have you shot anyway? It's close to over 100, right?
With this one, because this is gonna be my next one. This is probably gonna be my 99.
99.
99.
So in the 99 people, it's been so many different topics that's been covered. You can find one of those things to watch. Right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Click, comment, like, and subscribe. DIOTALK.
Yeah. It's been a long journey. Once I hit that 100, that's gonna be emotional. For me at least, because it's not about like I said, it's not about the money. It's not about these riches or whatever views. It's the conversations I was able to have with these amazing people doing these amazing things, right? And this is what it's all about. Listen, man. Once you become a parent, and this is what things kind of turn easy because it's not about you anymore.
You're right.
And that's that same sentiment. I try to bring it here. Would led me and help me create this. It's about me. There's people out there that it's everything's monetized. I've been working closely behind the scenes to help create a new platform. And where people like us can shine, because there's too much people on Instagram, too much people on Facebook. Got Netflix. There's so much talent out there that's being overlooked and overviewed, and everything's determined how much money you have. And there's people that don't have the financial asset, but have talent, have worked hard, and continue to work hard to practice their craft. And that's what I'm working hard to deliver.
Hey, it's a Dio out there that's gonna look at this, a young Dio that doesn't know how to do what you're doing, and he's gonna grow up and be like and understand like, hey, if the real like you did it, Dio did it, I can do it too. Out there are people out there better than Michael Jordan, better than LeBron, but they didn't have the opportunity, like you said. But at least they'll know through these episodes that if you can do it, anybody can do it.
Yes. It's been an honor talking to you once again, my brother.
100%, my friend. 100%, my friend. And then it may or may not be a part 3, but he's gonna have some other people on here. Just FYI, giving y'all the segue into my business partners. Maybe on here, and I might be back on here the third time, or they'll come on individually. But y'all, please click, comment, like, and subscribe.
Boom.
DIOTALK, and we're gonna make some history with this, and we're gonna push it.
Boom. Listen, man. When it comes to you don't have to ask. The door here is always open. There's no count how many times you're gonna be here. If next episode you want to be, we do a next episode. Be here. You have an open door policy. I said here live. Yeah. And before we go, tell the people where they can find you at.
Thank you, my friend. So as far as Instagram, the personal Instagram is Chise underscore. Let me make sure I'm tell you out loud. I changed it from Thanos. Because Thanos was my favorite villain. Even though I'm a DC fan, I love me some Thanos. Anyway, on the Instagram is franchise underscore. I'm sorry, it's Fran underscore Chise underscore A underscore mogul. Because I feel like I'm a mogul. I am a mogul. I do so many different things. And then the business Instagrams are DC Services Create LLC. And the other one is Q Jack Brands. That's the name of my other company. Q Jack Brands and Q Jack College. So follow us and we'll follow you back. And thank you for having me on, man. I'm like a kid in the candy store, man. Thank you for the opportunity. And like you said, got the open door policy. So y'all see me again, people.
Boom. Before we go, make sure to go like, subscribe, comment. Go follow me on my personal page. Is Mr. Dream Aspire Obtain. Francis, one more time. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.